We've been doing Zoom for how long now? I'm just learning how to do it.
No problem.
No problem. No, great. Nice to meet you too.
So I'm Marley.
How can I help?
I'm a senior journalism student at Bradley. And so this semester I'm working on a big project surrounding the LGBTQ community and kind of archiving different primary sources to hopefully then put out to the broader Bradley and then Peoria area for people who are doing projects on like LGBTQ history or things like that. But I really appreciate your time and all the answers that you can give me today.
Yeah, perfect. I'm here to give as much as I can.
Sure. So basically, I'm going to do just a little introduction that I do on all interviews, and then we'll just go from there.
Okay, sounds good.
So today it is Tuesday, March 30th at 11 a.m. My name is Marley Schultz, and today I'll be interviewing Trevor Neff. So basically, I just want to note that you can share as much or as little detail as you please. If a question or topic is uncomfortable, just let me know, and we can just move on from there. I also want to preface that, people are more than their labels. However, because this is for an LGBTQ plus archive and resource center, we're going to be focusing a lot on identities like sexuality and the culture that comes with that. And so looking at intersectionality, but also focusing on the kind of like boxes that people check based on, their feelings and their, kind of what they've chosen throughout their life. And so if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, name, pronouns, title, kind of things like that.
Yeah, I'm Trevor Neff. I am a he, him, his. I work for the Neighborhood House. I am the Youth Services Director there. I am also the president of Peoria Proud.
Okay, great. So starting with just the beginnings of your membership in the LGBTQ community, do you have any like a first memory or early memories about your own sexuality?
I think in high school is when it really hit me. When I was a freshman, there was sorry, my cats are playing right now.
You're good.
Okay, calm down. There was a senior that was out and open, and he particularly was into chubbier guys. And I was not out at the time, but because he targeted me as prey or as something he was interested in, I grew up in a country town, and so I got bullied a lot. So I think I realized then that I knew I was different, because I clearly did not like women, but I also didn't know that I liked men because of the bullying I was getting, because of the attention I was getting from this senior male. And so that's when I realized, okay, I need to figure out my life and become more confident and figure out who I was.
Sure. Where did you grow up? You said a small town?
It was back in the day. I grew up in Dunlap, Illinois.
Okay.
It was a country town, but now has switched to be this big. Yes.
And so when did you officially come out?
I came out, to my friends, probably my senior year, to the guys I was seeing on the side my junior year, but finally when I moved away from home, so my freshman year of college,
Gotcha.
is when I was finally comfortable to come out. Yeah.
And when you did come out to like your family after you moved away, did you receive a lot of like familial and like community support, or was it a little bit of a struggle?
The initial reaction was a struggle. We were up Catholic, and so my mom definitely had that outlook of, well, you're going straight to hell. And so thankfully my sisters had my back. And so my sister talked her down off of that ledge. And my dad's response literally was, because one of my best friends was a very emo looking gay man. And my dad was like, just tell me you're not dating him. Nice. And I was like, no, you're good. Right. Like, my dad was cool with it. Was just like, just tell me the truth. You're not seeing Ryan, are you? And I was like, no. So. But then, after a week or two, it was completely fine.
Awesome. And so did you go to Bradley? Are you an alum?
I went to ISU.
ISU. Okay. So you're familiar with the obviously the Bloomington, Central Illinois community. How did you end up in Peoria then from Bloomington?
So went to ISU, got my theater degree, and I decided that I was going to move to Florida to work for Disney World and do everything fantastic down there. I moved down there and I ended up working for a Target. Nice. And so I realized that I wanted to move back to Peoria where my family and my friends were, and not just to be out there all alone. So I moved back to Peoria, and I'm glad I did, because I joined the restaurant industry, which I knew all my life. I was a server. And then through that and finding other gays in that community that were doing drag, they introduced me to the scene of drag, becoming a drag queen. And I found my niche for doing fundraisers with my drag persona, Miss Flo. And then from there, the neighborhood house caught me from a fundraising standpoint that I was raising for them, and they stole me up. And now here I am today.
Awesome. And like when you came back to Peoria, how did you kind of find the environment or like the community of LGBT POC people? Was it easy to find, or was it something that you kind of had to search for?
I think back when I came back in, I think it was 2013-ish, the main gay scene that I saw was at the bars. It was going to Diesel, going to Sparky's. I didn't really know of any community that was around there. But then through friends, I found Peoria Proud. And then that opened my eyes up to the actual not bar scene, gay scene. Right. So I think Peoria Proud is doing a great job in Peoria. Central Illinois Friends, the Transgender Society, P-Flag. We've got numerous groups now that are out and that are open in the forefront of our community right now.
How do you think that like, so since 2013 and seeing that shift till now, especially with like the pandemic, how have you seen those kind of organizations grow with the Peoria community, just either the city or just Peoria County in general?
I really think just being out there now, like, I feel like there was nothing in 2013, but now because we have such strong leadership, and maybe like the millennials or the Gen X or whatever, we're more vocal now. We're not like, it's a different culture now. Back in the day, people had to be closeted and had to hide away. But now, because of, RuPaul's Drag Race, like all the TV shows, Will and Grace, anything, it's becoming a common thing that we can be out and be proud. And so I just think everything's changed a lot. It's more visible than it was.
Mentioning those kinds of TV shows and the dramatization of those and how they get sometimes, have you seen any like negative personal impacts through media or television shows like that?
Well, from the drag world, I think RuPaul's Drag Race is a glorified drag persona, because not all of us have that kind of money. So there is that backlash, and everyone's always judging us compared to what they've seen on TV. And I do think some of the TV shows do represent the gay community as either a butch lesbian or a very feminine gay. And that's not what we all are. Like, I say I could pass as a butch straight man if I had to, but it's the persona that is on TV has kind of wavered what people think about our community.
And with the growth of LGBTQ friendly organizations and businesses, do you see that continuing to grow with the kind of building of more of those in the Peoria area, or do you think that we're kind of at like a steady plateau?
I think I see us growing outside of Peoria. We're making contacts with Chicago and St. Louis and other areas. So I think the organizations we have now, I wouldn't say plateaued, but we're steady enough right now that we're getting recognition from other Midwest cities and bigger known areas. Yeah. So we are growing further out.
That's a good way to look at it. I hadn't really thought about before. Have you personally, other than Neighborhood House, have you done any work either in drag or out of drag with like Central Illinois Friends? You said obviously you were working very closely with Peoria Proud, but have you done things with like Lit on Fire or other kind of LGBTQ friendly businesses?
Yeah, I've done a story hour with Lit on Fire with Artemisia, and I'm not the best reader, so whatever. I get nervous when I'm in front of people like that. But I've hosted several events for Central Illinois Friends. I've hosted their Mardi Gras, Acorn Equality. I hosted their the Kentucky Derby that they do. So yeah, several events. I've done virtual events for them, fundraising like that. That's really my passion in drag, is to give back to the community through my personality and my banter.
Sure. Yeah. So I guess getting more into drag now, How did you, so you said you kind of came to Peoria and you were kind of introduced to that. Had you done any work with like drag or fine arts before that?
I have a theater degree, so my background is in theater. So when I'm a hair and makeup designer. Well, hobby hair and makeup designer. I'm now nonprofit world. But when I was growing up doing theater, I would do hair and makeup, and then like we'd find a spot in the show where there'd be a lull point or something boring, and I'd be like, well, why don't you put like a giant grandma on stage or like a janitor? So I was doing 9 to 5, and I remember there was a bathroom scene where they had to do a quick change, and it was just boring. Mm-hmm. So one rehearsal, I walked across in like a janitor's outfit with crazy hair, and they're like, "Oh, we're keeping that." So just like experimenting with the fun of campy queen sides. Mm-hmm. Then I moved to Florida, and I saw camp queens. Peoria had a bunch of dancing queens, so I saw that there were other sides of drag, and that's when I brought it back to Peoria and was able to develop it through knowing other drag queens and keeping with the theater.
Mm-hmm. And how did you pick your drag name?
Well, it's a play on the menstrual cycle, so it's Miss Flo-No-Mo. Like Aunt Flo is no longer here, because when I started off, I was wearing muumuus, gray-haired wigs. I was more like Dorothea from the Golden Girls.
Gotcha.
Which now has developed into something completely different. So.
And how do you see in the drag world, both in yourself and in other drag queens, how do you see sexuality being, or sexuality and gender, I guess, being expressed through something that might not be taken as seriously as other forms of like advocacy?
That's a good. I think there's a fine line between the two, because there are drag queens that are non-binary, there are drag queens that are transgender, there are bio queens that are men just amplifying the male persona. Mm-hmm. I think we play with all sides of the sexuality, and if you ever sit down with a drag queen and talk to them, it's not a joke. Like, we know what we're doing, and we can back what we're talking about. So I think that's a way that we are stronger than you think we are. We're not just out there entertaining you. We have a backing, and we are advocates for everyone.
Right. Have you ever experienced any kind of discrimination within the drag world? I know that it can be kind of contentious at some points, but have you ever personally experienced anything?
I don't think that I have personally. I mean, maybe in the beginning, because I was a comedy queen, maybe just not getting bookings because Peoria they weren't ready for that.
Yeah.
But I think through my perseverance and my strength, I fought through, and now I am one of the well-known in Peoria.
Nice. And coming back to the pandemic, have you done any kind of new forms of drag, whether that's virtual or doing things more out in the open rather than in clubs?
Yeah, so at the beginning of the pandemic, I found it's called the Drew Project, which is a nationally known LGBTQ organization that raises money for GSAs in high schools. Mm-hmm. And they did a fundraiser to raise money for them, and they just asked any drag queens what they want to do. And I did a virtual, every night I was in drag for 3 weeks, and I raised $8,000 for them. Wow. Won the competition, so pat on that back.
Yeah.
But yeah, going virtual is a lot different than having a crowd. So that was a learning experience. We did drive-by drag show. Well, not drive-by. We did drive-up drag shows where we'd pull up to people's driveways and get out and perform for them outside. Like Peoria Proud switched, and we did I keep calling it drive-by, but like a parade, like those birthday parades that everyone drove by and did. So we did one of those also in Peoria. So yeah, just having to switch just a little bit, but still being able to be with our community, as this pandemic has taught me a lot.
Right.
I can do virtual things, but also I can be in person.
Do you think that those kind of things will continue on past the pandemic, just because they help with like people who aren't able to necessarily attend shows? Or I've heard in Bloomington, they've been doing only ticketed shows. And so they've been live streaming for people who can't get tickets and things like that. Do you think that those will continue to thrive once we kind of get back to normal?
I hope so, because like you said, it helps for people that can't get out. It helps for the younger generations. That's the big thing. Mm-hmm. I think this pandemic has made us more accessible to the younger generations that want to look up to us and meet other people in the community, but don't have the ability to go to a bar or to a show that's 18 plus.
Right.
So I hope that we continue to do them.
Nice. And do you think that there's, or do you think that you'll get back to doing drag in bars soon, or do you think that we still have like a while to go?
Well, there's a lot. There's a lot of venues that are doing them now. But I mean, mask rules and all that stuff. I hope we get back to doing them without having the face shields and all the other fun, because it does hinder you when you're performing from doing all the tricks and stunts, because you gotta catch your mask while it's flying off your face.
Right.
But hopefully we can get back to a normal, semi-normal, established
right.
shows.
Moving then to Neighborhood House, how did you first get involved with them particularly?
So I was doing fundraisers with Pitch Karaoke Bar. We were doing Drag Queen Bingo every month. And the old owners and I decided that we would do it as a charity event every month. So we were going, I think it was every 6 months, so quarterly. And we picked up on the Neighborhood House. And they supported us so much that we went into a year with them. And one of my last drag queen events for them, the CEO and the COO were there, and they pulled me aside and they said, "What do you do for a living?" And I just told them, I was like, "I'm in between jobs right now. Here's all my background that I've done, and here's everything that I am capable with." And they're like, "We love your confidence. We love your connection to the community." And so they asked me to come in and interview and bring my resume in. And they actually created a position for me, and I was the community outreach coordinator when I first started 2 years ago. So they stole me.
How has that changed from the community outreach director to, or you now, I think I saw your community impact director. Is that the same thing, or is it...
And well, that switched 2 weeks ago. So I started as community outreach coordinator, and I worked under our director, and then she moved up to the COO, and I moved into the director's position. And then 2 weeks ago, they promoted me to our youth services director. So now I'm in charge of the youth education side of our programming.
Okay. And what kind of, do you mean like going into schools and teaching about different
things? We do at-risk meals. So during the pandemic, we were serving 168 kids hot meals to their doorstep every day. And now we do an after-school program, and we'll do like a summer camp. And so stuff to keep the kids off the streets when they're not in schools.
Sure. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Are there other kinds of like specialty tasks that you do in your kind of position, or is it just kind of a mix of things on the daily?
Kind of a mix of things on the daily. So we do Meals on Wheels for Peoria also. So we serve 75 or 750 seniors. And if like a driver doesn't show up, the admin staff has to step in and go out. We run a food pantry. We do adult education, so GED classes, FEE classes, which is helping people get jobs and fill resumes and stuff. So anything that can better the South Side 61605 area code is what we're there for, our zip code, whatever.
Right. Yeah. No. So looking at more of how the job is intersectional, obviously you're working with a lot of underrepresented groups like people of color. Is there any particular way that it intersects with the LGBTQ community? Like I know Central Illinois Friends obviously does HIV testing and things like that pertain more to the LGBTQ community. But do you guys like reach out to those kinds of communities as well?
Yeah, so for a couple times during our pantries, we've had the mobile unit from Central Illinois Friends come out to do STI testing and all that prevention work with them. Peoria Proud has come and they serve our Sunday meals once every 3 months. So I think I can say we're slowly getting involved with them through my connections and everything. And I'm trying to get it more involved with the training and everything, because I mean, they need to know language too. We don't know whose houses we're going to deliver to. So we need to make connections with the LGBTQ community also.
Sure. All right. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate the time. So that should be it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
And if you need anything from me, just let me know.
For sure. Have a good one.
All right, thank you. Nice to meet you.